Hello and welcome back to today's episode where I will show you how I'll create my pink buttercream cake with an oversized, beautiful piped rose on top. We'll run through the piping tips and techniques you'll be using for this cake. And if we haven't met before, I'm Yvette, owner of Enchanted Cakes by Yvette. And whilst I've had the pleasure of creating literally hundreds of wedding and celebration cakes, my focus is to now help you master the basics of cake decorating so you too can go on to enjoy creating your own cakes. So before we start, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you never miss a new episode. To start this particular cake, I'm colouring my white buttercream with raspberry from the Loyal Gel Colours range. You can go ahead and order and grab your colours and piping tips from Cakers Warehouse online using our discount code Enchanted10 if you'd like. So to colour our buttercream, I like to always use a flat spatula and mix it while I'm pressing the buttercream into the sides of the bowl. This mixes the colour and at the same time reduces any air bubbles in my buttercream. Now I've used a lighter shade of buttercream to cover my cake and for some of the piping, and a slightly darker shade for the rose on top. So go ahead and cover your 8-inch round cake, and mine is about 5-inch tall, with the pale pink buttercream, just using your bench scraper to smooth away the sides. My cakes are always layered inside with ganache underneath, as it's the most stable base to work with. So I'll include the link below to my complete ganache guide, which I use every week in my cake business. Okay, unless I'm just doing a tutorial and using a styrofoam cake. Okay, so if this one was real, I'd always layer with ganache first. So to start the design, we mark out the center of the cake with a cocktail stick, and then also use 2 larger circle cutters to mark out 2 circles on there. Now using our darker buttercream and the Loyal 126K piping tip, start piping the rose center with a small amount of buttercream and then start with just 3 to 5 petals. Now you make sure you place the wide end of the tip against the cake, with the narrower end pointing upwards. This gives you a nice fine edge on the outside of the petal. Now angle your tip inwards for the first couple of rows of petals. Start by making rainbow-like movements, so think up and over half circles like a rainbow. Continue to pipe the next row of petals and make sure you continuously overlap the petals. It doesn't matter how many petals you have in each row, just continue to move around the circle using those circle markers that we marked on top of the cake as well as a guide, just so your rose stays nice and even. You'll notice this particular tip also gives a slight curl to the outer edge of the petal, so you need to make sure your buttercream is firm enough for this effect before you start. As you continue to go around your rose, slightly change the angle of your piping tip to a more upright position and lengthen out the petals. Now keep piping around the top of the cake until you get to the outer edge. Here I want you to leave a small amount of room for a decorative row of piped buttercream. Now once you've finished your rows, change to the lighter buttercream and use the Loyal 1E tip, and I've piped a shell border at both the base of the cake and on the top edge of the cake. Now continuing to use the light buttercream, we're going to change to a smaller piping tip, which is number 21, and pipe a second shell border at the base of the cake. Now moving to an even smaller piping tip, number 33, we'll start piping some small rosettes, so little circles on the side of the cake. I generally pipe in groups of 1, 3, or 5 rosettes around the cake. And then fill in some extra details using the white buttercream and a small leaf tip. In this case I've used the Atiko tip 9066. So go ahead and add some small leaves around your rosettes. Finally, then pipe some rosettes and leaves onto the board just for some added interest if you'd like as well. To finish this design off, I've just used my tweezers and pressed some black ribbon bows into 6 equal positions onto the top piped edge of the cake. Once you finish this, your beautiful cake is complete. So to recap, I've started the design by first marking out some guideline circles on top of the cake, next by adding all those beautifully piped petals, and thirdly I've added the decorative piping details and little rosettes. All our tools and equipment can be purchased online at Cakers Warehouse, and you can save 10% by using our discount code Enchanted10 at checkout. They also deliver worldwide, just in case you're not here in Australia. Now before you go, don't forget I will leave the link for the ganache that I use under all my cakes, the buttercream cakes included. And if you're wanting to make a 2 or 3 tier version but really don't know where to start when it comes to stacking cakes, check out the other link I'll pop below where I show you exactly how I create my tall and stacked cakes. So you can go ahead and create your stacked cakes without wondering and guessing, are you doing it right? So thanks for joining me today. It would mean so much to me if you hit that subscribe button or share this video with your cake friends so I can ultimately help more cake decorators and hobby bakers just like you. See you next time and happy decorating.